Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lacey. I'm the owner of Milky Candles and I make videos about life in my 30s. I want to talk about some small business must-haves, but specific to candle making, since that's the business I have and that's where I have the experience. As far as like time and efficiency and valuing those things, I think this really just helps me, so hopefully it helps you. Thing number one is what everybody talks about, and I gotta jump on the bandwagon because I completely agree. It is the Dymo label maker. I don't always buy the Dymo labels to go with the label maker, but nonetheless, the label maker in itself is so easy to use. You can find cheaper labels, so you don't have to use Dymo labels if you don't want to. You don't spend money on ink. Because it is thermal, it is just so easy. Before I bought it, I was just printing my labels on paper, so I was using paper and I was using ink. Both of those things are more expensive in the long run. I was then cutting it out, which is wasting my time because I'm all about being more efficient with my time, and then using packing tape to tape it onto the box. If you are there, I totally get it and I sympathize with you because that takes a lot of time and effort, and honestly, it just uses more money in the long run. I've also seen people use it for other things, so like they're black and white stickers. I mean, it's not gonna print in color, but it might be something that's also useful if you wanna like put labels on your boxes when you ship out your boxes and things like that. You could also use it for making little stickers or labels in that way as well. Because I work from home and I work out of my kitchen, one of the things I struggle with the most is actually keeping the area neat and tidy. Not only does this stress me out, but it also stresses my fiance out. She just suffers in silence. She doesn't really voice how stressed out she is about it. But she ended up buying me a utility cart, which has like lots of drawers and it's got like some different shelving spaces. And that's really nice and easy because I can have my supplies on the go. I wheel it into the kitchen, I do what I gotta do, and then when I'm done, I wheel it out of the kitchen. So essentially the only thing that's left in the kitchen is candles that are drying or vessels that are drying because I make both my candles and my cement vessels. So it keeps everything in one place. I keep my wax on the very top of it, and then everything else just goes below. It keeps everything in one place. I don't have to question where anything is. And again, it's just nice and easy on the go. It saves space, it saves stress, and I highly, highly recommend it. I don't remember where she got mine from. Probably it's either Michael's or Amazon. Something to keep in mind though is I try to keep my fragrance oils off of it because it actually eats at the paint. So I use the double boil method still. However, when I am making candles in a batch larger than 10, the Presto Pot is where I'm at. Whether it's one that has a spout already attached to it or you're just using the ladle to get it out, which is what I do. I have found that that works fine for me. I have no complaints. That has saved me a lot of time. It melts the wax faster, which I think also saves more energy because when I'm using the double boil method, the oven stays on for longer. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just melt a bunch of wax, and I have so many different pouring pitchers, and then I can make multiple scents at the same time because then I can just put however much wax I need in the pouring pitcher, make sure I measure it correctly, then put the fragrance oil in, pour those candles, go back to the Presto Pot, put more wax into a different pouring pitcher. You get my drift here. Time. It's all about saving time. It's all about being efficient. The fourth thing that honestly I think that you should invest in, and I'm not telling you what to do, but I am telling you that you should do this, is Inventora. If you are going across multiple platforms of selling, so for example, I have a website through Wix and I also sell through Etsy, but I also do events like pop-ups. Inventora has helped me so much, not just with keeping my inventory in it and understanding how much I have and not having to update both Wix and Etsy at different times. I could just update Inventora and it shoots it out to Wix and Etsy. But it also has really helped me understand and keep in one spot how much does everything cost. If I'm going to make a Valentine's Day box and I have my candle, a room spray, a cotton pouch, and I have a vessel with striker paper on it with matches in it, and I tie it up with a little bow, and I have crinkle paper, and I have a piece of cardstock, and all of those things, right? How much is a box? All of those things. I get to break that down. I have my products, and I have my materials. So when I add a new product, I just select from the materials that I've already put in there. And then anytime I update my stock, it minuses it from the materials. And then when it's time for me to repurchase because it's running low, that material is bright red. And it reminds me, hey, you said you didn't want to go below this amount of stock. Well, you're there. So it's time to up it. It is so helpful. It is so helpful. I think Inventora was made by a candle owner, by a candle maker, if I'm not mistaken. If so, it's pretty apparent because it's got everything that you need. So whoever made it knows exactly what it's like to not have it. I ended up paying for the whole year, and I think it was like 100 and something. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but honestly, worth it. The next thing that I would really invest in if I were you, because to me it is an investment, you are getting back your time and money, get a custom made stamp, get an ink pad, and then get the ink drops, right? Like to refill your ink pad. That is so valuable. I am talking bags, boxes, cotton pouches. I am stamping every damn thing with that stamp. It's just such an easy way to make sure that you have your branding wherever you want it. Now, at some point, you can do custom cotton pouches or you can do custom boxes, and it does take a lot of time, but right now when it comes to putting branding on packaging, I'm willing to sacrifice my time in order to save a little bit of money. So, I mean, it's such an easy way of creating your own like custom tissue paper, or let's say you want to make your own business cards out of cardstock. I mean, it's so simple to get a custom stamp. Go on Etsy and see all of these adorable small businesses and all of the custom stamps that they have available. I have two. I have one that's a circle with my Milky's logo, my Milky logo. And then I have another one that has like the Milky Candles LLC with the little dash on top, and then it says take control of your space in cursive, which is our slogan. I use that one more. I put it on our bags and boxes and things like that, or like the inside, so that when people open up their Valentine's Day box, because that's what we have right now, or a gift box in the future, it will have it right there. The next thing that I think is totally worth having is a planner. I don't care if you use your planner every day. I don't care if you use it every week, but here's what I do care about. I care about whether or not you are tracking how much money you are making, how much money you are spending, when and how much you pay yourself, and additionally, and this is maybe the most important for me as of right now, because I have other ways of tracking that, when are you launching? And what are you launching? So that next year you get to go back to this planner and look at, oh, at this time I was making this much money. At this time I did my fall launch. So according to last year, I'm behind this year. It's so easy to compare yourself to other people, but honestly, I just think that you need to compare you to yourself. So having a planner and just being diligent, at least with those things, like again, what you make, what you pay yourself, what your like revenue is for your company, and when you're launching, or like when you do pop-ups, or how many you did, when you filed your taxes, all of those things, like those things that you're thinking about this year of like, I wonder. Next year, you're not gonna have to wonder, and you're gonna be able to look back at 2023, or for me, I'm looking back at 2022. You're able to track things a little bit better, and it just helps you sort of get into this flow of comparing yourself only to yourself, especially in the beginning stages when you're like, when should I do that? You won't have to guess next year, because I promise you next year you are still gonna feel like you have to guess, but this time or next time you don't have to. You just get to go look at your planner. I learned that from teaching. If you're making your own cement vessels, then I highly suggest getting a water-based sealer or preserver. I get mine from Earth Safe Finishes. There are so many sealers that people use out there that are horrible for you, and I don't think anyone really knows, because something becomes popular and then everyone just goes for it. If you are making your own vessels, I highly suggest doing a water-based sealer and preserver. Again, I get mine from Earth Safe Finishes and I absolutely love it. It also makes cleaning out your paintbrush so much easier, so that you can then use that paintbrush year after year after year without having to get a new one and throwing it in the landfill. Something else I highly suggest is not trying to take up too much floor space in whatever designated area that you're working, but take up some wall space. So get some shelves from Amazon, Walmart, Target, wherever you shop, and put your things in there. Specifically, I have one wall shelf unit for labels that are blank, and then I have another one for labels that are used. So for my used labels, one is for my cement vessels, the other one is for room sprays and glass candles, and then the other shelf is for any box labels. That way, before I go and print new labels, I get to go and look and see if I've already printed them before. There are other ways of being more efficient with that, but for now, because I don't have too many scents and I don't have too many products, that works for me. I just highly suggest figuring out what are the ways that you can take away from the floor space, because the floor space is where I personally get really frustrated, because if I can't move around my office, or if I'm tripping over boxes to get candles while I'm trying to pack orders, which is what my office looks like right now, I'm gonna be frustrated, and I'm not gonna wanna do it. I highly suggest putting your money towards a printer. Now, I understand that printers are expensive. I also understand that printers, the reviews on printers are just so funny to me, because it's like nobody is satisfied with a printer. Like, we've gone this long in technology, or this far with technology, and yet we can't seem to have a decent printer. I like my printer. I'm not going to complain about my printer. I mean, I complain about it sometimes, but only when it does things I don't want it to do, which is rare. So I use the inkjet HP OfficeJet 3830, and I've had it for a couple of years, and it's been so easy to use. I print my own labels. This is how I print my packing slips. There are certain labels that I actually get printed for me, because if the print is too small, or if I'm trying to do some sort of like background color, it is cheaper for me to outsource and just have Avery print the labels for me and then send them to me, instead of me buying all of that ink consistently. But I just have, like, if I'm doing black and white and I have like a little brown line in my labels, then I can just print them myself. I also will print things on like my linen cardstock, so candle care cards. For Valentine's Day, we have like, when we do a pop-up, we're doing like a gift for you, and then people can write their own little message for whoever they're buying the Valentine's Day box for. We also have custom messages for the Valentine's Day boxes, so if you buy online, you can do it that way, and it prints in cardstock. And it's just so easy for me to, and time efficient. Like, I don't have to wait for those things to come in the mail if I just do that myself. Yes, printers can be expensive. I just have like a super basic inkjet. I don't have a laser printer. And for what I'm doing right now, that works for me. And honestly, it works for me because I built my business around those things. Like, this is the thing that I have. How can I make it work? The next thing that you should definitely have, and you can get it for free if you want, is some sort of photo editing app for your website, for your social media, for all of those things. Because even though you are not a photographer, and you might be, I struggled a lot with taking pictures until I started playing with these different editing apps. So I use PicsArt. I don't pay for it. I just use the free version. I also use Canva, because sometimes on Canva, I like to make my photo transparent a little bit, like maybe 80%, and then have the background be either white or like dark brown or black or something like that, just to make it look a little moody or a little fresh, depending on the mood. I live by PicsArt. There's so many like ads on it that kind of pop up, so it can be a little bit of annoying, but it's free, so I don't really give a damn. This is where I edit all of my photos on my website. So I will brighten it a lot. I don't play with the contrast or anything like that. I sharpen it a little bit, take like maybe the detailing tool, and I'll go over some of the things that I want to be detailed, like maybe the label on the candle. I won't detail it at like 100% or even 50%. I'll do it less, because sometimes it can make it look a little funky. Or if I took a picture and I have like tattoos on my hand, then I might do like a little bit of detail on that if the camera took some of it away. Those things I just think are so important, and I'm not the best at it, but if you want to see how I do any of those things, then just let me know in the comment below. Another thing that you absolutely need to have is a food scale, because you need to be able to appropriately weigh your wax and your fragrance oil. And if you make your own vessels, you can weigh the materials as well. I recommend buying a separate scale for that. I don't weigh my materials, because based off of what I am using to scoop into this big thing and mix it around, I know how much I'm using. I have weighed it actually before so that I can price it out, but then I know based off of the scooping tools that I'm using that I'm using the right amount. It's also helpful when you need to weigh boxes for shipping and stuff like that. The next thing that you need is to get on USPS.com and order a ton of free boxes. I go for the medium flat rate and the large flat rate. For the medium flat rate, I can stick like 2 candles in there. For the large flat rate, I can stick 1, 2, 3. I can stick 4 candles in there, 2 candles and a couple room sprays. Do it. They are free. You don't pay for anything. You don't even put a card on file, and they will deliver those to your house. You can also go and get them at the post office. I was getting them at like 3 or 4 of them every time I would go. Utilize it. Utilize it, utilize it, utilize it. You will save so much money if you are not purchasing boxes, because you're already gonna purchase a shipping label. And what I love about that is like candles can be heavy, especially cement or glass. So it doesn't really matter how heavy those boxes are, just as long as it fits in the box. Do it. The last thing that you need is very obvious, but it's a heat gun. I went so long in my candle making life without a heat gun because I simply just thought I didn't need it. I was wrong, especially with cement, because with cement candles, there are so many little air pockets in the cement vessel itself, and it will bring bubbles to the surface. If you use any sort of soy wax, you know that you're gonna get sinkholes. And sure, you can refill the top of that, which is what I do. However, in order to make it look really, really smooth, it's still a good idea, not a necessity, but a good idea to use a heat gun. I cannot imagine my life without a heat gun now. The one that I have, I'll go ahead and link below in the description box, saved my candle making life. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you would like to hear me talk a little bit about wholesale, then go ahead and click on the video to your right. I love you even if you don't love me back, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, friends.